How much has being a parent um, helped you evolve? You talked about your evolution and how you guys have changed in your approach. How much has just being a mom helped you kind of say, okay, maybe what I'm talking to my daughter about applies to this team and vice versa?
Definitely. I think it's like both sided, like what's applying to my team can apply to Harley, but then what applies to her can apply to my team. And it's obviously like a little different, but I just think there's so much learning because as a parent, you see everything. You see, all the ups and the downs. And maybe as a coach, you don't necessarily see every aspect of it. You try to, but when you have a bigger team, it can be hard to just see the individual perspective fully. And I think it just gives Scott and I a lot of just knowledge and I think it helps us be better parents, working with our team and I think Harley went into Iowa with just a high level of, what it takes to be great. Like I think her coaches have been just complimentary of how she carries herself and, how she works and how there's really not, too much drama there because she knows all the stories behind the stories of our
Sure.
teams and what has gotten people into trouble and what has helped people become really really successful, and she's kind of seen it. And it's cool for her to have like her own path that she carved all by herself in a sport that I'm just in love with. I think wrestling is a really really special sport, and women's wrestling is really on the forefront of growth. I think it's been hard with the NIL. I think it would have even grown faster um because ADs just aren't adding sports that much right now. But this sport is pretty cool, and to see these young women competing at such a rate that it's just really fun to watch her and her teammates.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me one bit that she has that mindset mentality. My dad was a coach, and I reflect back a lot on being in the back of a station wagon with my 7 brothers and sisters, you know, and my dad just talking and saying stuff. I'm 10 years old, but you reflect back and there's so much wisdom that you get directly, but maybe more so indirectly by just observing
Definitely.
these dynamics and what coaches are talking about to their players and all of that I think is so impactful on them. I can't help but think about you. This 10-year gap. You win 7 out of 8. Then there's this 10-year gap, and you won two in the last few years. After this evolution, with your husband being so involved, when you're standing up on that platform, so to speak, and you're holding the trophy over your head, do you have a different kind of appreciation and gratitude for these titles than you did with the early ones?
Absolutely. I think there's so much more gratitude. I think our sport has evolved a lot since those early days, and there's a lot of investment in the sport. There's just a lot of talented coaches, a lot of talented players across the country. So to win now, I think you might make a case that it's definitely a little harder. And I just I think this year it was just such a group effort from our staff, from our team, from the parents, from the fans. Um, it really takes everyone and everyone pulling in that same direction. And so to achieve now, it's you really and just being a little older, you really appreciate kind of what goes into it and um just how challenging it can be. And for my team this year, I would say the win really was in how much they evolved. I mean, we had 3 losses early on in the season. We lost on our senior day, which was early in the season. And it was kind of like after that moment, will we make the NCAA tournament? I think there was a little bit of a doubt there, and my team, they never backed down, and just to see what they did and how we rallied around each other, it was a really, really special one. I don't think I've had a season with that much adversity in it, and to be able to come out on top at home, I mean, I'll never forget that, and just how special that was for Scott and I, our family, the team, the program, the department. It was pretty cool.